So hey, hello friends, welcome back to another brand new video. So today we are going to talk about the guns, history of guns, how the small invention by mistake and experiment took millions of life over 100 years. Let's begin our today's video. It all began in ancient China, when few scientists were experimenting on the king order that make me a thing that could make me live forever or immortal. So the many men started mixing different things. One of the men poured sulfur with other materials with fire, and finally there was an explosion. Not finally, it was unexpected. They did not expected that there will be an explosion on this. So they just stepped back and they were feared because of the explosion and the sound, and it traveled a great distance. So after that, the Chinese made it useful and they call it fire medicine. They used this so-called fire medicine or gunpowder in their firecrackers. They were small tubes which was filled with gunpowder or fire medicine, and when it was burned, it went into the sky and burst with colors, bringing joy, happiness on the festive seasons. So after that, it did not stay with the peasants and common people. It traveled from to the soldiers. The soldiers thought that how it could help us to win. So they started experimenting with it, with the bamboos to make it a gun. So the first thing which they discovered was fire dance. It was made up of bamboo, and the fire medicine was filled inside it with a small metal ball. And when they load it and when they shoot it, the ball just went in the direction of the tube, and the dead person is dead. And this bamboo was unexpected because sometimes the bamboos were imperfect and sometimes it just burst, causing damage to the user itself. Sometimes, by using the wrong direction, it created harm to the user. After this, it traveled from the Silk Road to the Central Middle East, and there the sultans studied it. People studied it over there, the common peasants and all the people studied it there. They wrote it about in the books and they started making something more useful from it. And finally, it did not stay in one place, it went to Europe. In Europe, people studied it. Actually, at that time in Europe, that there were archers, spearmen, knights, and Spartans. So actually, they do not possess any gunpowder knowledge, and they used to have combat or short-range combat, and archers are also there. So they discovered many things. They started experimenting, but few people only because they were brave enough, and they started making cannons. Cannons were huge, and they used to fill it with the gunpowder and a huge metal ball, and they used to just shoot at it at the fort or castle so that the wall could be break. The walls that were protecting castles from hundreds of years were now shattered. No quarry could stop these cannons. And one man, Samuel Coyle, started thinking to himself that we can make it smaller so that every person could carry it with it, every soldier. And because at that time those cannons were massive and it requires at least 10 to 20 people to operate it. So Samuel Coyle discovered the first handgun, and it was just a metal tube and some um, wooden stock, and they used to deal with it as same as with the cannon, and it did great damage to the enemy, and it could be it could be moved easily with the mobility. So after that, one person used it, then another saw, another used it, and slowly the Spartans, the knights, their and the archers, their importance were degraded, and the person with a little training, could outsmart the Spartans and knights, which have been serving their nations for more than their half a life. It's because they have range and great damage. After that, after the cannons and the guns, it slowly moved to the America and to the other parts of the world. where people started conquering. This was an unequal, unequal trade because one side there is a tribe with archers. They do not know what is this, and the second hand, the second side, there are the advanced people which have the access to modern technology, modern cannons, and everything they have. And slowly, they started taking perfect shape. A skilled craftsman could only create one handgun, and it was different. One was different from another. But after the machines and new inventions, it was made easy to be built. And slowly, it was used in the air as airplanes and in ships as warships or battleships in the First World War. And after that, in Second World War, people saw atomic bomb, which did great damage to a particular area, as shown in Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the USA. So this was all about the guns. How a small experiment took hundreds of lives today, every day, because in United States of America there are more guns than the people itself. Every day, many someone die from a gun, and not only the army personnel, but also some peasants, some common people, also just have guns in their home as their self-defense. So it was all about today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe till then. Bye bye.